Hey, Sheil Kapadia here from Philly.com Sports, joined by a special guest, Director of College Scouting for the National Football Post, Wes Bunting. We're talking NFL Draft, and Wes, as we know, no offseason in the NFL. The Combine is already upon us. You'll be there in Indy, and you've been way ahead of this stuff with rankings and scouting reports and mock drafts, all that stuff. But looking ahead to next week, on the offensive side of the ball, who's going to be a name we might not know right now that we're going to know a week from now, or a guy who can really gain some notoriety there?
I think one guy that can really gain some momentum is a guy named Mike Williams, wide receiver from Syracuse. When I watched tape of him this year, a big physical guy, goes up and gets the football as well as anyone in the draft. However, 2007, he kicked off the team because of academic issues, came back this past year and decided to quit the team about halfway through. One of the top wide receivers in this year's draft. He's going to test out extremely well. However, the biggest concern with him is, can he impress during the interview process with NFL teams? He's a guy that's not going to be on every team's draft board. However, the talent is there. A Brandon Marshall type guy. If he can impress during the interview process, his name could really soar.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Sometimes people don't realize that for the first couple of days, these guys aren't working out. They're doing interviews. It's basically like a job fair. And obviously, as you're saying, that's his chance to kind of make some way. But what about the other side of the ball on defense?
Well, I think some guys, you have to look at the defensive end class of juniors. Jason Pierre-Paul, Carlos Dunlap. Pierre-Paul's a big 6'6", 265-pound guy with gorilla-like arms. Carlos Dunlap, 6'6", 290. These guys are going to test extremely well. There are some questions about Dunlap. Has a tendency to take plays off. Pierre-Paul, very raw, but these are two physically gifted specimens, and when you put them on the track, they're going to run well, they're going to work out well. Really talented guys who could really catapult their draft stock with good workouts.
That's how you know it's draft season. We throw around terms like gorilla-like arms. I love that. So you know what time of the year it is. But we got to follow up. And there's some other guys in previous years who really come out in the Combine and really do a good job, and then they don't always perform well in the NFL. So when you're a personnel guy and you're looking at this big picture of their college performance, their character, how they tested out, what kind of percentage or what part does the Combine play in all that?
Well, the thing I like the most about the Combine, like me and you right now, we're talking, we're interacting, we're putting the X's and O's on the chalkboard, we're seeing how smart the guy is, what's his instincts, how intelligent he is, so you get a good feel for the person one-on-one. Then you break them down, you put them in shorts and a t-shirt, you watch them work out. The game tape has most of the percentage of what we're looking at, but when you get the interaction one-on-one, see these guys up close, it helps move either way, the pendulum either way, if you like him, if you don't, in that aspect.
Yeah, and some guys choose even not to work out at all. We were talking about Sam Bradford, quarterback from Oklahoma, obviously a big name, is not going to work out there. Is that the right decision for him, or how do you think he arrived to that decision?
Well, he's coming off a shoulder injury, and he's got to go through his rehab, and he has to put his best step forward. And if that means waiting for an Oklahoma pro day, waiting for his own personal pro day, he has to do that. Obviously, he's not 100% right now, and he doesn't want to go out there and show flaws in his game that typically wouldn't be there without the injury. So I think right now, he's going to still show up, do the interview process. People are going to be wowed by how smart he is. He's a mature kid for his age, but however, in the coming weeks, we'll see him throw, and I expect him to do well.
Yeah, and obviously Jimmy Clausen, another guy in his group. But the other guy we have to talk about, probably the most talked about prospect here so far as we're looking ahead to the draft, Tim Tebow from Florida. If you're advising him, if you're his agent or someone who he's looking to for advice, what are you telling him to do? What does he want to get out of the Combine?
Well, I think he's a guy that's going to interview. He's going to interview extremely well. He'll probably run. He'll probably do some of the workouts, but he's not a guy that going to have to throw at the NFL Combine. We saw him at this year's Senior Bowl, struggled with his footwork, with his elongated release. He's a guy that needs to go back. He's been working with Mark Tresman, who's an NFL quarterback guru, shortening that release, shortening his footwork, taking snaps from under center. So we're not going to see him throw. He's going to be waiting for his pro day for that, but I think he's going to be a guy, like I said, interview process, this guy's going to excel.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes next week at the Combine in Indianapolis. Wes is going to be there. You can read all his content on the National Football Post. For Philly.com Sports, I'm Sheil Kapadia.